Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to another episode of the Spiritual Lessons from Harry Potter. Trying to figure out what I'm doing. Okay, got my Harry Potter glasses. Yes, we are on episode 6 and we are reading The Sorcerer's Stone. Today we're going to be doing chapters 10 and 11. Yes, 10 and 11. Yes, welcome. So glad you caught it live. Okay. These glasses, I don't know how Harry pulls them off, but they are so awkward. All right. So in chapter 10, it is when Harry gets his Nimbus 2000, his new broomstick, and he begins, his Quidditch practice with, Oliver Wood. And, you know, he has to, first of all, learn the rules of Quidditch, right? And basically for him, his main job is to catch the little golden snitch and avoid being hit by the blungers that could be thrown at him. And the other players are trying to get their balls into the net and just, you know, to avoid interfering with that game and be mindful of the score so that he catches the snitch at a time when his team will win. There's a line in here as he's learning it. So like, you know, Wood is explaining all of Quidditch to him and then asks him, okay, do you have any questions? You got it? And Harry shook his head. He understood what he had to do all right. It was doing it that was going to be the problem. And this simple line is like encapsulates so much for so many of us, right? For most of us, as much as people like to say like, oh man, I don't know what I should do. And oh man, I can't make a decision. And oh man, I'm so unsure. Most of us actually know what we need to do, right? Like for example, to be healthy, you know what you need to do. You need to eat more veggies. You need to drink more water. You need to cut out, you know, the sugar, right? Processed, unnatural foods. You know what you need to do. The hard part is doing it. The hard part is the execution. And so this, I think, is also really important for Muslims because we tend to we're very much an intellectual community. We're big on education and knowledge and learning. And so we have a lot of knowledge and theoretical understanding of Islam, of faith, of belief, of, you know, all of these things. But then how much of it do we actually practice, right? For, you know, a simple example is how kind and generous and loving and open and compassionate the Prophet ﷺ was, you know, to the point that people did not want to leave his presence. They always wanted to be around him, felt so welcome at the masjid in his home and all of these places. Whereas if you go to, you know, any masjid anywhere, are you going to feel that same amount of welcomeness from the people? You might feel welcome in the space, in the house, and the beauty of the masajid, but do you feel that warmth from the people? Are they, you know, living up to that companionship, or are they judging you when you walk in? Your hijab is not right, your beard is too short, your pants are too long, all of these things. So he understood what he had to do all right. It was doing it that's going to be the problem. And I think I mentioned this before, right? Knowledge is potential power. It's in the execution that it becomes powerful. Okay, so let us move on. I like my sticky note system. Helps me. Okay, so then later on, they're in class, and Ron is paired with Hermione, and she is teaching him, or they are learning a spell about levitation, I think, Wingardium Leviosa, and Hermione is, you know, smart and intelligent and is showing Ron how to do it, right? She's like, you're doing it wrong, do it this way. And Ron gets irritated and annoyed with her, and he says, like, it's no wonder that, you know, no one can stand her. And they see her pass by and notice that she's crying. And Ron's just like, okay, well, you know, he feels uncomfortable, he feels bad, but he's like, well, she must notice that, like, she has no friends. And for this, I just want to point out, right, that they're all young, they're all 11. And that's still an age where, like, that you know, you're excited about what you're excited about, you're into your hobbies, you're not yet, you know, they haven't, in America, you haven't yet, or you're just maybe going into middle school. So you're still not trying to really fit in and be cool and, like, let go of the things that you like. You're still a little bit individual. So Hermione is at that age where she's like, I'm smart, I'm interested in learning things, I love learning, and, like, this is, you know, this is me, and I'm proud of knowing things and being good. I'm not ashamed to raise my hand in class or say that I know the answer or say that I read this whole book or, you know, study all night, all of those things. And that's basically, like, the truth of her, right? Like, that's the truth of how she is. And that's her light. And sometimes your light can irritate other people. Your light can just highlight for other people their own insecurities, right? So her being so brilliant and being so smart and being able to do these spells and do well and have a great memory and enjoy studying and enjoy reading, like, that is what she likes, right? She's not doing it she's not trying to impress anyone, and she's not doing it out of show. Like, this is just what she enjoys. That is her light, but it's making other people insecure. So if you are in a situation where, like, you know, you're good at something, or you enjoy something, and people are like, oh my God, stop talking about that, or oh God, there they go again with that thing, or okay, you know, or you feel like you're sensing some tension, some discomfort, some, you know, people looking at you funny, or just feeling like you can't, you know, when you are in your element and things that you're good at, people are not receiving you well. Again, that has nothing to do with you. That has nothing to do with you. That has everything to do with them and their own insecurities and their own issues. And so in this moment, right, Ron and even Harry are just like, okay, you know, we don't like her. Like, she's just a bossy know-it-all. And of course, that all changes in this chapter through their adventure with a troll. And again, if you haven't read Harry Potter, like, read the book. Like, I'm not, you know, this isn't a book club where, like, we're getting into the story and how interesting and how descriptive and how adventurous it is. But basically, they go through an adventure of Hermione has gone off crying and isn't alerted to the fact that there's a troll that has been let into the castle. So Ron and Harry decide, oh my gosh, we better go tell her. And they go to find her, and they actually have to end up fighting off the troll and save Hermione from it. And this experience binds them together, because when the teachers come in and are like, what is going on here? Why did you guys, you know, why did you go off to fight this troll when you were supposed to just, you know, go up to your dormitories? And Hermione, you know, covers for the guys and stands up for them. It's like, they came to, she actually lies, right? She's like, they came to rescue me because I thought I could go and find the troll myself. And her standing up for them makes them see the humanity in her, because before it was kind of just like, oh, a bossy know-it-all. Like, she's just, you know, we do that. We make caricatures of people. She doesn't, you know, don't even consider her feelings. Like, whatever, nobody likes her. And you can just say these things because you don't really see the humanity in her. But in that moment when she lies to the teachers and she stands up for them and she defends them, and they've gone through this experience, they're like, okay, she's just like, you know, a regular girl like us, and she will do what needs to be done in the moment where you need to do it. And right, that's how this chapter ends, right? But from that moment on, Hermione Granger became their friend. And there are some things you can't share without ending up liking each other. And knocking out a 20-foot mountain troll is one of them. So that's chapter 10. Then we move on to chapter 11. And chapter 11 is called Quidditch. And it is the first Quidditch match of the season. And here, What is happening? What is happening? Okay. Here, Harry has gone into the staff room because Snape took something from him, and he, wanted to ask Snape if he'd give it back. So he goes into the staff room, and he happens to see Snape getting patched up by Filch, and he overhears Snape saying, like, "Oh, that blasted thing! How are you supposed to keep your eyes on all three heads at once?" Right? And then Snape realizes that Harry's overhearing them and yells at Harry to get out. And Harry comes to tell Ron and Hermione, like, "Oh my God, keep track of three heads." He was trying to get past the three-headed dog and get whatever it's guarding. And so for this point, it's a spoiler alert, but I'm going to try not to spoil it too much in case you haven't read it. Harry has learned some information that is true, right? That Snape is trying to get past or has encountered the three-headed dog. So that part is true. That's factual information that he has learned. However, he goes on to make an assumption that, he's trying to get it. He's trying to take it from Dumbledore, and assume a lot more. And his assumption is colored by the fact that he doesn't like Snape, right? He doesn't like Snape, and mostly why he doesn't like him is because Snape doesn't like him. So he's like, oh, he must be up to no good. And so this little lesson is for us to appreciate that we can find out facts, but how we interpret those facts still are colored by our own biases and by our own, interpretation of things. And later we'll learn that their interpretation, was off, but in the moment they think they're, and as this chapter goes on, they think they have it all figured out, right? So now Harry is going to play his first Quidditch game, and he gets on his broom, and everything's going fine until all of a sudden his broom starts acting out. And then Hermione notices that across the stadium, she looks for Snape, and she sees that his eyes are fixed on Harry, and he's muttering under her breath. And she knows that is what you need to do to jinx someone. So she believes that Snape is jinxing Harry, and now she is, she goes to distract Snape so that he can break eye contact and stop reciting the spell so that Harry won't be jinxed, right? So she does that, and as she's doing, or when she does that, Harry's broom, stops acting erratically, and the spell seems to be broken, and everything seems to go back to normal. So again, it reinforces that assumption that Snape is doing something bad and evil and not good, and that he's out to get Harry. And after the game, they go to talk to Hagrid and tell him about it. And Hagrid's like, no, Snape wouldn't do that. Snape, that's not possible. I don't believe that. And they're just like, they don't want to hear him. They're like, you're not looking at the evidence. You don't know what we know, right? That Snape is doing something. And they tell Hagrid that he was trying to get past, the three-headed dog, and Hagrid tells him that the dog's name is Fluffy. And they're like, Fluffy? Right? And then Hagrid says, you forget about that dog, and you forget about what it's guarding. That's between Professor Dumbledore and Nicholas Flamel. So now they get another piece of information, Nicholas Flamel. But again, all of that is really just to point out that you may have information in front of you that is facts, but you still are the one who interprets them. There is always an interpreter. And sometimes, a lot of the times, we cannot trust our interpretations because we make a lot of assumptions based on a whole host of things, right? Unconscious bias, clear, blatant bias, a desired outcome that we want, a preference that we have, hopeful and wishful thinking that things are different than what they are, right? I'll just use a romantic relationship example. You may get evidence and information about the person that you're talking to, and it may point, it may be just, some fact, right? And you get to interpret it. You get to interpret it. And for many people, I don't know okay. I don't want to make it all negative, but for a lot of people, when we talk about like red flags, a lot of people, a person will see a red flag and make up some different interpretation that interprets away the red flag. And, only after the fact, when everything has like fallen apart, do they like, oh, okay, I guess I shouldn't have interpreted it that way. But you could have interpreted it a different way in the moment, so you would have saved yourself all of that heartache, right? All right. We will continue on next time. Does anyone have any thoughts, any questions, anything about Harry Potter, about this series, about any of it? Feel free to let me know now or in the comments. Otherwise, we are getting into chapter 12, which is one of my favorite chapters. So inshallah, I will see you guys next time. Assalamu alaikum.